Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Yankees Farm Report. This week, we're going to go back, or we're going to look back at what happened last week, which prospects are hot, and what we're seeing from the pitching throughout the farm system. As you guys can see, I got Marcus with me here today. Marcus, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Carlos. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. And let's just get started. We're gonna basically, like I said, we're gonna talk about what happened in the farm system last week, who's hot right now, and some of the pitching. So, getting into it for my notable players at Tampa, you had Marshall Tool. He hit 400 with a 500 on base percentage, an OPS of 1100. He had an extra base hit, an RBI, two walks, three stolen bases. Owen Cobb, who just came off of the IL, he's hitting 385. 467 on base percentage, 1158 OPS, two extra base hits, a home run, three RBIs, four stolen bases. Juan Matheus, who started pretty slow, he seems to be picking it up as of late. I guess it's with more consistent playing time, he's feeling more comfortable. He's hitting 333, or he hit 333 last week. An extra base hit, three RBIs, three stolen bases. Dylan Lewis had a big series last week. He hit 286, 967 OPS, three extra base hits, two home runs, seven RBIs. Angel Urena had hit 273, two extra base hits, an RBI, a walk, and two stolen bases. Um, on the pitching side, you have Griffin Herring, who continues to do Griffin Herring things. I mean, the guy's just phenomenal. He's just phenomenal. He pitched six and two-thirds innings, gave one run, 11 strikeouts. I believe he was the pitcher of the week, if I'm not mistaken, for the Florida State League. And also, congratulations to him. He was the pitcher of the month at the Florida State League. You have Grayson Carter, who pitched 5 innings, gave up 2 runs, five walks, two strikeouts. As you know, he's a reliever. They converted him into a starter. So there's going to be bumps in the road for him. Brady Kurtner, ugh, Brady Kurtner, who's an undrafted free agent, has pitched 5 innings, gave up one run, one walk, five strikeouts last week. Um, Very good. Or we saw good stuff from Tampa last week, and that's carrying over into this week. I mean, they've been clobbering Daytona for the past 2 days. Um, Maybe the offense is starting to wake up there.
Yeah, scoring runs, which is good, but not doing it by slugging.
Mhm,
So when you look at the stat lines don't scream at you. You're not going to see the huge OPS, not going to see the big slugging percentage, but the runs are starting to come, the
mhm,
hits are starting to come, and the way that low class A is right now, I think we're all still trying to figure out how to judge it.
mhm,
Without having short season baseball anymore, where you've got maybe the guys that are college players without big pedigree, or with the draft being shortened, you've got these undrafted free agents coming into pro ball. You've got your international players who've not had a ton of experience, or they've been playing on backfields or in the complex league, and now we're coming together here. It's still early in the season, so you're not really sure what you're looking at all the time,
mhm,
but you're starting to see these guys with not a ton of experience start to get going a little bit. And now you can say the guys who are interesting, the Juan Mateus, the Brian Sanchez, the Engel Urena, you're starting to see the hits come.
mhm.
And the guy who does have pedigree, the Griffin Herring, I mean, there's a guy where you can start to say maybe he needs to get challenged at a higher level. The thing that I really like about Herring is he came into pro ball without supposedly having a changeup. He was a reliever in college, and that changeup is good. So the success he's having as a starter here, I think you watch him pitch, and thanks to Carlos, your videos, you get to see these guys play. Herring's pitch tunnel and the shape of his slider and his changeup and his fastball really complement each other. And for young hitters, inexperienced hitters, he's kind of having his way with them at
Pretty much.
times.
Mhm. Yeah, he's definitely looking like a big fish in a small pond right now. I mean, you have to start to wonder when is the call going to come for him to move up to Hudson Valley. But then the only issue there is there's no room.
Right. And
You already have
that's
you already have six legit starters at Hudson Valley. You have Cade Smith. It's on the shelf, due back sometime soon. So I don't exactly see when it's going to happen for him unless one or two guys moves up.
so the interesting thing there with Gage Zeal gets the call up to double A,
Hmm.
which hard to tell if that's a temporary thing or not. It kind of seems like it would be,
Hmm.
because why would he jump the line here? But maybe it makes you wonder what that strategy is, because that could have been an opportunity where you take one of those Hudson Valley guys and move them up to then have Griffin Herring make that move. But I would think that sometime in the next month, something like that's going to happen.
Definitely. As far as Gage Zeo, I think it might have been a spot start. I believe he was scheduled to pitch that day, but yeah, you have to wonder why didn't they push someone from Hudson Valley up just to give him a taste of what it's like at Double A instead of pushing up a guy from Single A.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right. He was on schedule, so that made sense at least.
yeah, but I mean I still didn't get the idea. He's still figuring out the Florida State League and to throw him into to Somerset. I mean, I don't know what they were expecting from that.
Right.
But then again, maybe he would respond to it because if I remember correctly, they did that with Josh Groves last year. They pushed him up to AAA and he got hit pretty hit. But when he came back down to Hudson Valley or to Tampa, he took off.
Yeah.
He just took off.
Yeah, and that's got to be a real eye opener. That's
Yeah,
because that is a jump.
getting your back kicked in like that. But yeah, it worked out for him. I mean, he came back and he seemed like a different pitcher. And like I said, he just took off once he came back from Scranton.
Yeah, and Zeal got a little bit of a late start, so it's still hard to make a judgment on him. He hasn't had those kind of dominant outings that you've seen out of
Right.
Herring so far. It just hasn't had a chance to get going.
Mm. Moving on to Hudson Valley, I had Omar Martinez hit 500 with a 1278 OPS. I mean, just real quick, Omar Martinez seems to be on fire right now. Two extra base hits, three RBIs, five walks. You had George Lombard, who hit 500, 1100 OPS, four extra base hits, five RBIs, three walks, two stolen bases. I mean, I think he was the story of the week pretty much with his promotion. We'll get to that as soon as I get through these guys. But Jay Savina hit 389, 1056 OPS is another guy who's pretty hot right now. Three extra base hits and RBI. Parks Harbor 286, two extra base hits, a home run, three RBIs. Also got a promotion. Uh, I think it was 4 games ago, maybe. Then you have Bryce Cunningham, six shutout innings, four hits, four strikeouts. It wasn't a dominant game for Cunningham. I know how the stat line reads, but he made it work, which you definitely want to see that from young pitchers. Then you had Carlos Lagrange, 5 2/3 innings. He gave up 2 runs. Those 2 runs came in the first inning, but after that, he was just lights out. One walk, which you love to see, 8 strikeouts. Absolutely impressed with what Lagrange has been doing. Next, you had Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, sorry. 5 2/3 innings, 1 run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He has just been very impressive to me, Elmer. The next guy that I wanted to mention was Bryce Warwacker. 3 and a third innings of shutout baseball, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. I was looking at his season. I think he's thrown 11 and 2/3 innings with a 0.77 ERA. Hitters are hitting just .056 against him, and that's 17 strikeouts in 11 innings. I mean, I'm not sure what changed with Warrecker, but uh, I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm loving what
Yeah,
I'm seeing. And
yeah.
the last guy I wanted to mention was Tony Rossi, who for me has been really impressive. And I know he was a little bit older for Tampa. I think he's 25, if I'm not mistaken. But he has just done what he needs to do, right? He got a promotion to Hudson Valley, two shutout innings, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts on the season. Tony Rossi has yet to give up a run. He's in over 10 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 17 strikeouts. Hitters are hitting .088 against him.
With what the Yankees have done with undrafted free agents, you don't really have background on these guys. You got to go
Yeah.
searching for it. And then you don't know what to think with these kinds of performances. But they certainly, it's the eyeball emoji when you see stuff like this, because if the performance is there, then let's see what we've got.
Mhm.
I mean, you mentioned the name of Parks Harbor. That's one of those guys when I saw his name pop up after they got him, you don't is his name Harbor Parks or Parks Harbor? Like you don't even sure who you're
hmm
looking at because you haven't heard of him, but he hasn't stopped hitting
hmm
since he debuted last year.
hmm
Solid stats at the end of last year was I don't want to say he tore up Tampa, but it was pretty close to being able to use that phrase. And
hmm
he hasn't really stopped hitting when he got to Hudson Valley. So to pump the brakes on him, he's playing third right now.
hmm
He's a large man. It's a
hmm
6'3", 225, kind of the same size of another guy who had really strong numbers, right-handed hitting third baseman, who's now
I have
at
a feeling I know who you're going to talk about or who you're going to
okay.
mention. Tyler Hardman.
Yeah, exactly.
hmm
So where you looked at him and thought maybe, and now he's kind of stalling.
Hmm.
But at least you put yourself in the conversation when you perform like this, and that's what Parks Harbor's done so far. So
Hmm.
you got a lot of guys in Hudson Valley who don't maybe have the now with Lombards in Double A don't have that prospect pedigree, but
Hmm.
they're hitting and they're putting up numbers and they're winning games. Um, in part because their pitching's holding everybody down, but guys are performing. So then you look at them in that light.
I mean, we've mentioned them before. The Yankees have done a tremendous job identifying these undrafted free agents. Rafael Flores is an example of that. You have Jackson Castillo as well. Dylan Hassel, who's playing very well at Somerset, is another guy. Trent Sellers, Ben Shields. The names go on and on and on.
Right.
They've been mentioned on this channel many, many times. They've done a great job identifying some of these guys.
It's incredible, really. And even like you mentioned Warwicker, that's the back of the draft where they got him. And
Hmm.
he's a guy I look at for kind of a dumb reason. When I wrote for Pinstripe Valley, I did a draft preview and I just picked out a whole bunch of guys that I thought they fit the Yankee mold with the way their pitch package was or the what their scouting report looked like. It fit what a Yankee might be looking for, and that's a guy I had in my article, and then they have drafted him. So he's again a very large man at 6'8", but a strike thrower,
Yeah.
which is what I thought. Strike thrower without huge stuff.
Hmm.
So for that size, not the type of fastball that you're seeing out of their other big guys, but it's coming on. I think he's added velo since they brought him in with that strike throwing, and I mean, you're starting to see the results there out of the bullpen. So was a starter, now maybe a little bit more of a fast tracker as a reliever.
Yeah, middle innings eater. Yeah, been really impressed with what Warrecker has done. I mean, first of all, and I've said this a few times, he's got an awesome name.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got an if for that reason alone, I would love to see him at the major league level.
And it's easier
But
for
yeah,
me to say than Legrand,
oh my
but
God,
I am I'm trying not to drool over him right now, but
man,
holy
listen,
cow.
listen. As someone who's been speaking his name for since over 3 years,
That's
it's
your
it's
guy.
it's very hard. It's very hard, but I'm like, don't go too much fanboy right here. He's doing well. He's doing well. Let's just be even keeled here. But yeah, I mean, absolutely impressed by him.
Yeah. Big dude throwing hard and throwing strikes.
Yeah.
And I think I've said it on here before. When you watch a guy beat people with his fastball,
Mhm.
that's not something you see all the time anymore, where you can just stand there and overpower people. And I've seen that out of him this year, and that's really fun to watch.
Yeah. We'll touch on him a little bit more. Let me just finish getting through these numbers. Let's move on to Somerset. At Somerset, you have Rafael Flores, who's starting to heat up. He hit 370 with 1118 OPS, five extra base hits, two home runs, five RBIs. For me, he was the player of the week, or the prospect of the week last week. Antonio Gomez, who's been hitting well or hit well last week, 364, 840 OPS, an extra base hit and RBI. Alexander Vargas hit 333. Two extra base hits, three RBIs. Dylan Hassel hit 286, 891 OPS, three extra base hits, two home runs, three RBIs. Has been playing phenomenal for Somerset. You had Brendan Beck, who probably had his toughest outing yet. He didn't make it out of the fifth, or didn't make it out of the fifth inning. He went four and a third, gave up two runs, one walk, six strikeouts, and that's, like I said, that's incredible. The fact that that was his toughest outing so far.
Yeah.
You also had Will Bryan, who pitched four and a third, gave up two runs, one walk, four strikeouts. And Trent Sellers went four and a third, two runs, three walks, seven strikeouts, who's starting to pitch really well.
Trent Sellers is a really solid, and I don't mean this pejoratively, minor league pitcher because that's what he's been so far as a minor league
Mhm.
pitcher. But he was, I watched him pitch live last year at Hudson Valley, and he's one of those guys where people are starting taking good swings against him. You're not seeing that same type of overpowering stuff that we were talking about before, but guys don't look like they're squaring him up, and he's continued to do that at Double A.
I mean, I remember when he first started, I believe it was last year, as an undrafted free agent. He pitched pretty much out of the bullpen, and he was just lights out of the bullpen. And eventually, they moved him to the starting rotation, and he's pretty much continued that same thing, that
Yeah.
same path.
Strikeouts, which is the only thing with Beck that's making me pause a little bit. The strikeout numbers are they're okay.
Hmm.
So I mean the results have been really good, and I love how he looks on the mound. I think the stuff looks good, but with the fastball being the low 90s and the strikeouts maybe not coming yet,
Hmm.
well, let's just hold on and see where he goes. And obviously the health thing with him has always been the case, but still feel really good about the way he's gotten off on the season.
Regarding him, I mean, I don't. I'm not a draft guy. Like I said, this is the first year that I paid attention to the draft. Was that where his velo was at, or is this because he's coming back from injury?
No, I think he threw a little bit harder in college. I think he did.
Hmm.
I thought he was 95 in college and maybe in the summer. Let's see what it looks like.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
that's why I'm asking if maybe it's just he's building back up.
yeah,
Because I did ask around and I was told, yeah, he's pretty much 88 to 90.
yeah. And it'd be a shame if that's what it was. I mean, the breaking stuff still looks good and the mix looks good and he's got a kind of a different angle to him,
Hmm.
right over the top. But yeah, I'm not seeing the ball. I think he threw harder in college.
I mean, and the command is damn near impeccable.
Yeah, right. And that was there. So maybe and hopefully we see a couple of ticks here.
Hmm.
I don't want to say he doesn't need it. He might need it if he's going to make the next level.
Hmm. Moving on to Scranton, you had Everson Pereira, who's himself is really hot right now. Hit 400, 471, 1471 OPS last week. Three extra base hits, three home runs, four RBIs. Jesus Rodriguez hit 400, 928 OPS, an extra base hit, three walks. TJ Rumfield, 389, an extra base hit, three RBIs. Yorba Vivas, 286, with a stolen base. He's up in the major leagues right now. Sean Boyle pitched five and a third shutout innings, three walks, nine strikeouts. Eric Raiselman, three shutout innings, two walks, three strikeouts. And that rounds out my players of the week throughout the system. And just staying with Scranton about who's hot right now. Everson Pereira is right now is really hot. He's got four home runs over the last four games. Over the last nine games, he's hitting 364 with a 1251 OPS, five extra base hits. And yes, that's five home runs, seven RBIs. The strikeout rate is under 30% in that time frame, which I kept getting people talking to me or telling me, pointing out his strikeout rate, and it's Everson Pereira. The strikeout rate is the strikeout rate. I'm glad it's under 30%. Um, and I've always told people, his production will come in bunches, and that's what's going on right now. And that this is why I say that I don't think he could be a platoon player, a part-time player, because he needs a long, that long runway.
Yeah. Because for as long as we've heard about him, he still, with all of his injuries, all those stops and starts, hasn't had those, 500 straight at bats. There's
Right.
always been bits and pieces of seasons here and there. So, yeah, he does need some time. But the weird thing with him has always been for me that, with certain guys, you say if you make a mistake, he's going to punish it. You can make a mistake to him and he misses it, or
Hmm.
you could make a mistake to him and he kills it. So,
He
like the
did it.
swinging,
He
you
did it
don't
last night.
know.
He had a walk-off two-run shot. It was a blast.
Yeah, on a cement mixer, but still, he still hit the thing out. You got to give him credit for that, and I give him a lot. I think he looks great right now.
Hmm.
So
He played solid defensively yesterday. I think he had two diving catches yesterday in yesterday's game. Another one that he was going back on. I mean, his defense has never been in question. He's never had that question, that cloud over him like Jason has had.
mhm.
But being the fact that he's had such an extensive injury history, it's good to see that he hasn't lost a step there.
So does he look? I mean, I think athletically, he looks as good as I've ever seen him right
He
now.
does. He does. He does. If I know he was out, I want to say a week. I don't know exactly why it was, but he did miss about a week. And for
Yeah,
him, that's pretty good. That's really good because usually it's 2 months plus.
yeah. And I think the buzz is starting to pick up on him too, which is nice to hear because it's always been there. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of consistency, and now he's at AAA, and if he can play and play all the time, he's going to put up numbers.
Hmm.
And if the
Yeah,
eye
he's still
test and the
23.
numbers
He's still
match,
he's still just 23.
yeah, and that's a guy where if he doesn't have a role in New York, I think somebody else would take a liking to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the next guy, Jesus Rodriguez. Over the last 10 games, he's hitting 421, 500 on base percentage, three extra base hits, a
I'm gonna
home
do
run.
this. Is
Mhm.
anybody talking about him? Like the numbers that you just spot, and
I'm
he's doing the majority of the catching in AAA.
not getting much buzz. He's playing third base now because uh, uh oh my God, what's his name?
Wilson came back.
Not Wilson. Yes, because is it Wilson? Yeah, because he came back. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's hitting 421 over the last 10 games, three extra base hits, a home run, five RBIs, a walk rate of over 15%, a strikeout rate of 6%.
Right. And I don't feel like I hear anything about him.
No, you really don't. And it's funny because he struggled at double A. He didn't get much time there. He was spent most of the time injured at double A, but at triple A, he's just responded to the challenge.
Yeah. And he's always been a hitter.
Hmm.
And now he's doing it at the highest minor league level. He's just picked up since he got promoted.
Hmm.
And it's a 40-man guy. So it's not just like, oh, let's see what we got here. It's on a 40-man roster.
Hmm.
So I feel like we'd be hearing a little bit more about him. And maybe that's just, that's obviously subjective. Who knows? But
I
kind of
mean,
hoping
it could also be because, he's overshadowed by the other guys.
that and maybe not hitting the ball out of the park. Maybe we'd hear more about him
The
then.
lack of power might be, yeah, that could also be it.
Yeah.
The other guy who's hot down there is Sean Boyle over his last two starts. He's pitching to a 238 ERA over 11 innings, 13 strikeouts, and Eric Raiselman over his last nine games is pitching to a 1.42 ERA. That's 12 and two-thirds innings, six hits, eight walks, 14 strikeouts
I wonder if Sean Boyle's time is coming.
on that short list.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to do? It's either him or I think Winans.
I mean, now that so Carrasco got outrighted,
Hmm.
which good for him if he's going to continue to play. But things are you're getting near drastic level at the major leagues. Um, so Boyle's not too far from the front of the line there. I do think Winans might be the next guy.
I
Uh,
don't think Wyman has even given up a run yet, since his season started. If I'm not mistaken, you guys in the chat can correct me on that, but I don't think he's given up a run yet.
Big strikeout numbers too.
Yeah, he had a huge game. What was it last week?
Yeah. No, he has a 0 ERA,
Yeah,
14 innings, 24 strikeouts.
yeah. I thought that's what I had seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like he could be the next guy.
Yeah. And
I mean, I don't think it could be worse than than what they
it's
were
a
getting.
fun. I don't want to. I mean, said before the season with Will Warren, the next step in his development, we're going to have to be patient with him. There's going to
Hmm.
be some lumps, and then the lumps are here, and they're not fun, and you're losing. So it's like, well, he's still a minor league pitcher with major league stuff, as far as I'm
I mean,
concerned. He
as
has
far
not
as
taken that step
As
yet.
far as Will Warren, I think right now it's just a consistency problem, right? It's a lack of consistency. He'll give you one game where he goes what, 5 innings, gives up 2 runs, strikes out five, and then the next game he gets blown up.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't want to pin it on him. The
No,
style of pitching where you're walking the 8 hitter, the 9 hitter, and setting up innings and getting beat late, that kind of stuff. There's been too much of that this year, but he's
I
been
mean,
bit by
I
that
can
quite a bit.
I can stomach that if it's coming from Warren. I can stomach that, right? Because it's development. You're making an investment, hopefully that it'll pay off soon, or especially in the coming year. I just can't accept that from a veteran, though.
Yeah, right. Now the stuff is there, and so if he's got the confidence to go after people, I think I don't want to compare him to guys that everybody compares him to, like Michael King,
Mhm.
but we saw that with like a Clark Schmidt. Just go up and have confidence in your stuff. Your stuff's really good. Go after people, and you're gonna maybe see some more success. And that's the next step for Will Warren. He's just not there yet.
Moving up to Somerset. At Somerset, you have Rafael Flores. Over his last 9 games, he's hitting 333, 366 on base, 1058 OPS, 8 extra base hits, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. The strikeout rate is a little bit higher than what I'm normally seeing from him, which is at 31.7, and the walk rate is just under 5%. You would hope that those numbers improve a little bit. I feel like they would. He was really good at Somerset last year. There's no reason to think that they shouldn't improve.
Yeah, they are kind of striking. You would not expect to see that. And
No,
I would assume that the higher ups would like to see them get better. But he is the man there right now.
absolutely. Um, Cam Schlittler's off to a hot start. 218 ERA over 30 or 30, over 33 innings. That's 10 walks, 36 strikeouts. Cam Schlittler is just, I would say he's probably their top pitching prospect at their highest level right now.
Closest. Yeah, he's the closest
Mhm.
to being the next guy. I mean, if you're talking prospects, guys
Yeah.
that have ceiling, you're right. I think he's the first in line.
Mhm. Would it be crazy if if the Yankees just say, let's just go with Cam Schlittler?
It's not crazy.
hmm
Um, but I don't think you have a different situation if you do.
hmm
Now you got
I mean, I
him.
think because they have options, being the Yankees, they'll explore those options first, meaning the
Right.
guys they have at AAA.
Right. I mean, he needs development time, no question about it. And so you could bring him up. I think he could compete with the stuff he has, but you're going to have to deal with some of the things you're dealing
Yeah,
with Warren
I mean, he
too.
pitched. He pitched. Yeah, I thought he held his own in spring training.
Yeah, I thought so. And we talked about it, how many times they ran him out there as a
hmm
starter. You can tell that they like him. And
hmm
he's pitched the way he's pitched this year, he's held up his end of the bargain.
Right.
He's given us reason to be excited about him.
hmm
Which is great because with what's coming up behind him, um, it's a nice group right now to
Yeah.
feel good about.
The other guy I wanted to mention is Brendan Beck. Off to a phenomenal start. We mentioned him earlier. He's pitching to a 0.93 ERA over 19 innings, 19 strikeouts, 114 average against him. He's only allowed 2 runs. I think he's only allowed 2 runs in the season, and they came in the last start. He is Rule 5 eligible. So if the Yankees have any plans of seeing what he's got, I expect a Somerset a promotion to Scranton pretty soon.
Yeah, I wonder about that. Maybe. I mean, I think you're right with his age and the amount of time he's
Mhm.
been in the organization. If he continues to pitch like this, probably won't be that long. But I'm not good at predicting promotions at this point because George Lombard got to Double A
Yeah,
faster than I thought he was going to get there.
absolutely. Absolutely. I was definitely surprised by that move as well. The other guy I wanted to mention was Will Bryan, who was in a similar situation to Brendan Beck. He was drafted, what was it, 2, 3 years ago now? He had trouble getting on the mound, but he's at Somerset now. This season he's pitched over 14 innings, giving up 3 hits, 3 walks, 20 strikeouts. Hitters are hitting 173 against him. Yankees don't really have a left-handed reliever like this.
Yeah. And he's had good stuff. And
Yeah.
since the time they drafted him, he's had good stuff. But like you said, the stops and the starts, and
hmm
over the course of time, the longer he stays on the mound, the better a look we get at him. That stuff becomes more refined, and all of a sudden you got something here. So there's definitely something about him to keep your eye on.
Yeah. The other guy that I want to mention at Somerset, or the last guy at Somerset, would be Kelly Austin, who the Yankees got in a trade with Atlanta.
Hmm. Or
Since he's come off the IL, he's pitched 8 2/3 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts. Hitters are hitting 103 against him.
And that's a guy with a little bit of shine when they traded for him last year. I do mean a little bit. I don't want to be unfair here. But again, somebody with some traits and some stuff
Mm-hmm.
who could keep making progress here. And has dealt with some injury too,
hmm
which is why maybe you'd
He just
expect
came
him
off
to
the
be
IL.
yeah. So he's another one where with performance, you might be seeing him move.
hmm Moving on to where pretty much all the fun stuff seems to be happening, which is Hudson Valley. Carlos Lagrange. Over his last 4 starts, he's pitching to a 2.01 ERA, 22 in the third innings of work, 12 hits, 5 walks, 34 strikeouts, 156 average against. He's striking out, what is it, about a 41% clip. He's allowed 3 runs over his last 3 starts, and that's 16 innings of work, 4 walks, 25 strikeouts. I can't sing his praises enough, man. It's night and day, and I think I've mentioned it to him in his first start. I don't know if I don't know if I mentioned that here or if it was on the NYYU show, but in his first start, he got knocked around pretty bad. I think he gave up 7 runs or something like that. And I had sent him a message, and I said, "Hey, I know the game didn't go as you planned, but listen, these are the two most important lines for me." And it was the fact that he had 1 walk and 9 strikeouts. And pretty much he's pretty much followed that throughout since that, because like I said, over the last 4 starts, he's pitching to a 2.01 ERA, and he's given up just 5 walks in over 22 innings of work.
And that is the number right there. I don't even want to say it out loud. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want it out into the ether
Hmm.
here. But the walks being where they are, whew, if it stays like that, he's a monster.
Yeah, and I see it now in him. I see the confidence in him. Like he's always been a pitcher who pitches with emotion, but I just see the swagger in him now. Like he just has so much more confidence on that mound now, and I think it's because he's trusting his secondary stuff. The fastball to me looks a lot better. He's setting it up well. The breaking stuff, like it just looks everything from him just screams, front line starter if he continues down this path.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for knowing where it's going when it leaves your hand.
And and on that note, last night he did hit 101 I think it was in the fifth inning. He hit 101.
Man, I mean,
It's exciting stuff to see. Because I don't remember a Yankees pitching prospect with that kind of velo, a starting pitching prospect with that kind of velo. Um,
that's a good question.
I don't remember one. I don't even know if I remember a Yankee pitcher with that kind of velo.
I mean,
Maybe
I'm old
Severino.
enough to say the name Brian Taylor, but I don't even
I
think
was
he
I
threw
was
it with the
thinking it, but I
miles
didn't
an
want to
hour.
age myself. Well, Dylan Betances.
Yeah, but still,
That's who I've always thought like I had reminded me of was
yeah,
Betances.
yeah. And he took a while. I mean, there's a
It
guy
did
who
take a
took
while.
a while.
They went almost through a similar career path because early on, Betances, same thing. He had command issues. He couldn't stay on the mound. And I thought that that's where Lagrange was headed, but being what I'm seeing now, I completely feel differently.
So with guys like that, and this is probably not even worth bringing up because, but you said Betances. I talked to a guy one time who was an umpire in Betanzas's high school baseball league, and he said the kid who caught him he could barely move. It was this huge kid, but he caught him because he's the only one who could catch the ball. He threw so damn hard. So like you wonder about guys like this, if they're developing, there have to be people who can catch their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So as they move, if they can progress up the ladder and you get more sophisticated catchers and players around you, if that doesn't help their development.
The next guy I wanted to talk about was Elmer Rodriguez Cruz. He has just flat out impressed me over his 5 starts. He's pitching to a 2.25 ERA, 28 innings of work, 14 hits, 9 walks, 35 strikeouts. He's allowed just 2 runs over his last 3 starts combined, and that's covering 18 and 2/3 inning, 3 walks, 26 strikeouts.
He's another one who the body language looks different from the
Mhm.
first start or two. He looks a lot more confident and aggressive, which is understandable. He's a young guy coming to a new organization, uh, pitching in a refrigerator here for a month, and now
Mhm.
he just he looks as advertised. So at first it was like, yeah, okay, but now I'm seeing it.
Mhm.
There's some big stuff there.
I wondered why Boston had traded him because, like I said, he looks great. And I
No,
looked over his numbers at Boston, and I saw his numbers look fine here. And the only
so
thing that I could think of is maybe the fact that he's Rule 5.
but I think Narvaez was more highly thought
Uh,
of than we recognized.
hmm,
And I got a little annoyed because he was never brought up
no.
by Baseball America in their top 30 prospects. He gets traded to Boston and now he's in the top 150 prospects in the game. So good for him.
Mhm.
He's earned that recognition, but I definitely didn't hear him getting that kind of praise when he was in the Yankee organization
No,
from the outside.
I didn't even hear his name mentioned, period.
Yeah. So I think he had a little more value than we thought.
Um, Omar Martinez, over the last 9 games, he's hitting 371, 1167 OPS, six extra base hits, three home runs, 11 RBIs, a walk rate of 14%, strikeout rate of 26%, and he did homer again today. I believe that makes it 3 games in a row that he's homered now.
I've always felt like he could hit.
Mhm.
You get that feeling too? I mean,
I do, but I think with him is that he has those prolonged slumps where
yeah,
sometimes he just kind of gets lost.
yeah,
Um, and then people just stop. Like, I feel like early on, there's always some buzz, and then he hits that slump, and people just stop talking about him.
yeah, that's true. And in this organization with the catching they have,
Hmm.
you you have competition.
Hmm.
So if you do have those stretches, you start looking at other people.
Yeah. Wanted to mention Parks Harbor over the last 3 games. He's hitting 354, 957 OPS, six extra base hits, a home run, four RBIs, strikeout rate of about 20%, walk rate of 7%. And, we mentioned him a bit earlier. He's one of those undrafted free agents that he has just hit since the season started.
Yeah. And he's just where he's kind of like the guy now, like Brendan Jones. I just want to watch him. Let's see what he does. He's not the
Mhm.
same kind of athlete. I'm not comparing him that way, but just
Mhm.
like let's see what we got here. And like I said earlier, you kind of have a sense of what the ceiling might be, but nobody knows that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I
since
mean,
he
still too
hasn't been
early.
playing,
It's still too early. Let's see how he, finishes the season out at Hudson Valley.
yeah, he's made himself worth watching, worth following, and that's a big deal.
All right, I'm gonna go through a couple names. I posted about these on my Instagram. These are some bullpen arms. Tony Rossi, I mentioned him earlier. Uh, 10 2/3 shutout innings so far. 17 strikeouts over that work. Bryce Warrecker, 11 2/3 innings, 17 strikeouts, 0.077 ERA. Chris Keene, who I really like, 12 innings. 12 innings, he's pitching over 12 innings, he's pitching to a 1.50 ERA with 11 strikeouts. Sebastian King's off to a really good start, 2.35 ERA, 7 2/3 innings of work, 9 strikeouts. Houston Merrill, 11 innings, pitching to a 0.82 ERA with 9 strikeouts.
I know there are people who really like um, Chris Keene.
Hmm.
I'm really interested in Sebastian Keene, and maybe that's just because I'm interested in his delivery.
Hmm.
That's kind of the reason why people like Chris Keene, the really short arm, and he's been successful. And I think that is a guy to keep your eyes on here because I
Hmm.
think he's going to progress. Um,
Yeah, I think he's been successful at every level so far.
yeah, yeah, I think that's a guy who's going to keep moving, and we'll
Hmm.
see where that goes. Um, Now Houston Morrill just did a
There's a.
little
Hmm.
pogo stick there, right? He was
Hmm.
up to double A down, back down.
Hmm.
All right, so and I can't say I know enough about him to get a feel for what that's going to be. If that was a bad sign that he got pushed up and sent back down, or
I
if
mean,
that
I
means
don't
he's on
think
the cusp.
I think when they shuttle you about like that, I wonder what it says about how the organization sees you, right?
Yeah.
In his case, he's pitched over 12 2/3 innings, 8 strikeouts, 8 walks, some command issue there. He is 25, so I don't know what the organization thinks of him, especially if they're bouncing you back and forth like that.
The guy they did that to for a while there was Mashevsky, and he
Mm,
ended up making the big league. So you don't want to rule guys like that out, but I hate to see that for people when they get bounced around like that.
yep. All right, moving on to Tampa, Griffin Herring is the story of the day there, off to a phenomenal start. Uh, I think he's given up, was it 1 run? I know he had a pretty quote unquote rough outing today. I haven't looked at the box score yet, but um, over his first 5 starts, he was pitching to a 0.60 ERA. That's 30 innings of work, 39 strikeouts. Hitters were hitting just 157 against him. Phenomenal pitcher of the month for the Florida State League. It's only a matter of time before Hudson comes calling for him.
Yeah, who do you think, just to clear the spot, who do you think's first in that line to go to double A?
I would I would bet on Cunningham. I put my money on Cunningham.
And that's probably a good guess.
Hmm.
I might say Kyle Carr only because he was there last year.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts of Kyle Carr? Because I had a conversation about him today.
I don't, how do I put this? I want to be more excited about him than I
Hmm.
am. I want to see a little bit more than I do, but I'm not displeased with what I see. It doesn't look to me like, all right, let's stop paying attention to this guy. So I think I'm glad it looks like he's had success so far this year. Um, and I have watched him pitch a couple times this year, and I felt good about the ease of operation, and
Hmm.
he looked more comfortable than he did last year.
Hmm.
I just want something more.
I think last season he's probably the man. Once, he turned it around, he was the guy there, right? And I think now he's been overshadowed by all the other guys around him. So
Mm.
when you look at the back of his baseball cards, things don't pop out to you, right? Namely the strikeouts, because that's what sells tickets, right?
Yeah,
But he is pitching to a 2.08 ERA, over 21 innings of work in
right.
five starts. My thing for him is I would like to see him go a little bit deeper. I don't need him to with all the strikeouts. I'm gonna date myself here a little bit, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Jimmy Key.
I wish.
Mhm.
If
But for
that's what
me,
you,
that's a good thing, right? Because for me,
yeah,
I feel like Jimmy Key was the linchpin that would turn the organization around from the losers of a franchise in the 90s.
yeah, definitely. And that was in the off season where they had their sights on Maddox and Bonds and everybody else that had a bigger name. And he was the guy who, you're right, turned things around for him.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Carter should be a guy that just eats innings. Yes, he's not going to strike out, 9, 10 guys a game, but he's a guy that can pitch you 5, 6 shutout innings type of thing.
He was supposed to have bigger stuff. And I suppose
That's what I
I
keep
haven't
hearing.
seen. Yeah.
Yeah, people keep telling me that, oh, the velo was a little bit better before he was drafted, and then this spring training, I kept hearing how the velo was up, the velo was up, and so I was a little surprised when I watched the first 2 games, and I'm like, the velo looked the same as it did last year.
Yeah. So I'm not down on him and I'm not
No, I'm
complaining.
not, not definitely not.
Yeah. It's just, I just feel like I want to see some more.
Mm,
So anyway, I brought that up just because, I feel like, someone from that group's gonna have to move. And maybe it's Josh Gross, and then that they do it that way, and then we
mm,
have, and that's not a slight on him,
mm.
but you'd have to say he's the number six starter in that group right now.
Yeah.
But one of those guys goes and Griffin Herring goes up, that would make a lot of sense.
I mean, it might end up having to be two of them, right? Because like I said, mentioned before, you still have Kate Smith.
Yeah, no, you're right. Unless, yeah. Why could you see him going to Double A when he comes back?
Hayden, I'm not sure if he's ready for it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that to him.
yeah. It's a good
Um,
problem to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel good about this pitching at Hudson Valley.
Yeah,
Um, Moving on to, well, the last guy at Tampa that I wanted to talk about was Owen Cobb. He just came off of the IL. He's hitting 467 since he came off the IL. That's a 1446 OPS, 4 extra base hits, a home run, 3 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, a 21% walk rate, and a 15% K rate. He's looked really good since he got off the IL, and Tampa was needing some offense, and he's providing that spark.
yeah. And I know just about nothing about that young man. So he's another one where let's get to know him a little bit here. It's a good start though.
Absolutely. Um, I think on that note, is there anyone else you wanted to talk about a little bit?
So
Head out.
it's FCL just got going, which is
Hmm.
nice to see.
Yep.
It's give some more guys to talk about today. Somebody who I've always had my eye on since they signed him was Omar Gonzalez on the
Started today.
mound
Hmm.
and had a good successful first start, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Um, and keeping my eyes on Brando.
Hmm.
Not a good first day, but it's
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a little. It was a
he's had
little.
it.
I was a little head scratcher, but he came back the second day, had 2 hits.
Yep,
Now he's got 3 games in a row with a double. So the power that people were questioning or asking where it was seems to be bubbling to the surface.
yep. Got some steals.
Hmm.
under his belt here. Stole home today on a double steal.
Hmm.
Got my eye on. I heard a little buzz about. Tell me if I'm saying this name wrong. Isail
Oh,
Arias.
Arias. Yeah.
Yeah, heard some buzz on him.
Hmm.
He's smaller than I thought he was,
Yeah.
which doesn't have to mean anything, but
Hmm.
yeah, he's hitting behind Maya in the lineup, and so that means that they like him too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything bad about to say about Arias. He did play well at the DSL last season. He was part of the last year's IFA class. So, I mean, the fact that he's stateside now, speaks to the job that he did in the Dominican Summer League.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on that note, guys, we're gonna let you get out of here. Marcus, always thank you for your time here. Appreciate you.
Thank
Appreciate you
you.
guys. If you guys can hit the smack that like, and if you're not a subscribe, please hit the subscribe button as well. And you guys have a good night. Later, guys.